For June the 13th, 2025, we talk about Mario Kart World, Karma, the Dark World, Skald against the Black Priory, and much more. Welcome to Level 546. My name is Kaye Ross.
I'm Moxie.
I'm Jala.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Welcome back. We tapped out at the last minute last week for just quorum reasons, but we're here. Yeah.
Woo!
I don't know who it's been the longest since they've been on.
Oh no.
Yeah. I could have looked at that, but then
it's
was
never you.
Yeah.
Was I on recently? I know Ben, you didn't.
Yeah, no, it's you. You've been away the longest, Jala.
Okay.
What's going on?
Well, a lot of things. First off, I will be liberally muting myself because I have bronchitis. I have been sick, and then I continue to cough forever and ever, and it's bronchitis. So I'm on medication for that. And I've had lots and lots of other harrowing medical stuff for family stuff. But other than that, I did just recently, this last weekend, watch Rippy the Red. Can you guess what Rippy the Red is about?
It sounds
Killer
like
Red Panda.
It sounds like it's about like an evil ventriloquist dummy.
It's a zombie kangaroo. And it has Michael Biehn in it.
That is similar to a red panda.
This is true. You weren't that far.
They're both marsupials, right?
Right. So this is a killer zombie kangaroo movie, and it's from Australia. It has Michael Biehn, or Bean, I don't know how you pronounce his last name. The guy who played Kyle Reese in Terminator, he's in there.
Oh, cool.
And he plays a wackadoo, and it's great fun. But actually, this movie, as much as it sounds ridiculous, and if you look at the trailer, it looks ridiculous, it's actually a really good movie, surprisingly. It's like an hour and 24 minutes, very svelte, but it goes into a lot of character development, and it has like this decent plot, and the way it ends is great. It's classic. I'll just put it like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, worth watching. Worth watching Rippy the Red. Would have never guessed. So...
My hope, I think my dream ending, I'm sure this isn't how it ends, is just like the zombie kangaroo finally shows up and then just gets immediately killed by dingoes or giant spiders or whatever they have over there.
Oh, and that's another thing. We had Cameron, who is Dave's co-host on Monster Dear Monster, who's also been on my show. He was in there watching it with us.
Okay.
And so since he lives in Australia, I was like, Cameron,
cool.
You are my Australian wildlife man. You must tell me all about what these do. And I found out lots of things about kangaroos. Kangaroos will slash you open.
Oh, yeah.
And gut you. Also, kangaroos will drown each other or humans or other animals. So if you ever see a kangaroo in a river or any body of water, do not go anywhere near it. It's going to murder you.
Kangaroos are bastards.
They're terrible, apparently, especially red ones. They're the most aggressive. So the fact that this is a big red kangaroo is like a legit concern. So
yeah.
I feel
Did
like
he tell you about drop bears?
I hadn't thought of this parallel before, but I feel like Australians are kind of like Superman, where it's like they go anywhere else in the world and they can like survive very, very easily because they have such challenges in their home territory.
Well, what's funny is that the Michael Bean or Biehn, whatever his character, the wackadoo guy, Cameron was like, there's one of these guys in every small town in Australia. And I'm like, for real? Really? And he's like, oh yeah. And he's got the kangaroo strap. He's just telling me all these details that are just like accurate to the way things are in weird areas, like little rural areas of Australia. So I was okay.
Like point of order though, don't you live in a state that is 100% like wackadoo survivalist cowboy dudes?
I live in an urban environment.
See, that's the
Moxie.
thing about generalizing about Australia. Like, Australia is a big country. It's not as big as it looks on a map, but like getting across it takes a long time. There's like most of the people live in the cities.
Yeah, right. So, well, anyway, so that's a good movie actually. So, go have fun with that. Take that rec as you will. But I've also been going to concerts, as I mentioned the last time I was on, and the last time before that, probably. But the most recent was the 2-day show for Ice Nine Kills. I mentioned that last time that I was going, but I have gone. It was badass, and I also found another couple of bands that I really like. So.
So like it's a 2-night show.
Yes.
Like it was at the same show like 2 nights. Like you just when they were there, or was like one part 1 and the other was part 2.
So they have two. Well, they have a bunch of different albums, but 2 of their albums, The Silver Scream and Welcome to Horrorwood, are the 2 that are based on horror movies.
Okay.
And so it's a 2-night show because one of them they do The Silver Scream and the other one they do Welcome to Horrorwood. What I didn't know was that the openers were different for both nights. So they had totally different bands on either one of those 2 nights.
Okay.
And so the guys I saw the first time, like the first band that came on, I really liked them. They were Melrose Avenue, and they're like this teeny tiny little band from Australia. And I was like, oh, I'll pick up their CD the next time, like tomorrow when they come, because there were so many people. And then the next day comes and they're not there. And I'm like, oh shit, because then I look online and they don't sell CDs anywhere. They have some music streaming, but they don't have like that EP available anywhere. And so that was the one place to get that. So that was a thing. And then
it looks like they do have a Bandcamp though.
Yeah, they do. They do. They have a Bandcamp. So I did find that and locate that. And I'm going to, probably get the music digitally that way anyway, at least until, I doubt they're going to come back anytime soon. So I don't know. I guess I'll just have it digitally and deal with that. The other band that I really liked was Dark Divine. They opened for the second night and they got everybody going almost more than Ice Nine Kills on their best songs, which was fucking wild. They're out of Orlando, and they got everybody going so hardcore. It was really great. So I picked up, because I learned from my mistake the first night. I picked up their album on CD and on vinyl because you can't find that shit very easily. And I'm going to have to track down their first EP, Halloween Town, which I'm in the middle of looking for that. So there's that. But so anyway, I've been having fun listening to music, and I will continue to do so. And I have a comedy concert I will be going to in another couple of weeks here, and that'll be good. And I might slip in some more music before then. We'll see. How is everybody else doing?
Yeah, Ben, how about you?
I've been doing all right. I think I might have been the impetus for the cancellation last week because I went to Bark at the Park.
I was trying to protect you. I was really trying to protect you.
I'll take the hit. I've gone like a handful of times now, but it's like you take dogs to the baseball game and they like get excited and stuff when everyone makes noises. It's a good time. Mm-hmm. Tragedy befell our dog, and so he was not in attendance, but I still went to band the friend groups together so that they knew one another. It was kind of like that sort of thing.
You were the hinge.
The hub. Yeah, but that was a good time.
I think hinge is a polyamory term.
I wasn't trying to walk away from that, but now I am. So, yeah. And then I think other than that, I'm pretty excited. At the end of June, I have scheduled a Twilight Imperium game with some friends in the city, and it is the first time I played that game in like 5 or 6 years. So
I'm blanking. Which one is that? I know it, but
this is like kind of a famous game within the board game community because it's a game that takes all day to play, and so it's like a space game, asynchronous. Everybody's a different faction that has different abilities, and you play to 10 victory points over the course of like 5 or 6 rounds. But it is a Ameritrash game in the sense that you can just roll poorly and you've lost the game, like sort of thing. But But there's a little bit more edge to that. There's a lot of like diplomacy and kind of negotiating and stuff like that. So I've been preparing for that, like refreshing on the rules. I watched a few Gen Con tournaments of it, which are like 6-hour videos, to be fair. So it's like watching it in the background, but seeing like the different moves people make to try and refresh myself on the strategy. But very excited to play that again in the near future. Yeah.
Like you have it scheduled, like do you have like, is it like 2 days or do you have like just a whole day blocked out?
A whole day. Yeah, okay. We made a spreadsheet to get everyone's availability like a month ago, and that's where it landed on. So yeah, this should be a fun time.
Sweet. Reassure people, you said tragedy befell a dog.
Right.
Oh, yes. My girlfriend's dog, it's her dad's dog. He's older dog. We were doing zoomies. He got out of breath and passed out for like 20 or 30 seconds, which is not a fun sight to be a part of if you're in the same room. So we took him to urgent care, and he got to sit in an oxygen tank for like 3 or 4 hours and get x-rays and all that fun stuff. He was okay. So he's just old and can't run around as much anymore. So he's recovering from that, and he's relatively back to normal now. So
relatively normal's fine.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't want to leave that unresolved. Like I knew the dog was okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he's back to normal and trying to eat our food again, but yeah, it was a minor scare. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can empathize with that since our Pooh Bear is 15 too, so.
Let's see. Moxie, how about you?
Yeah, so I just got done with World Pride here in DC.
Wow.
So, man, that was a trip. Went to a interfaith service, which was really, really cool. It was pretty much every like major religion you can think of. So like Judaism, Islam, tons of different sects of Christianity, Buddhism, Sikhism. Like the only one major religion I can think of that I don't think was there was Taoism.
Okay.
But basically each person did, kind of either presented a short sermon on a topic relevant to Pride, importance, community engagement, love, those sorts of things, or like presented something from their religion. So like one of the Jewish people played. I knew what it was called one day at one point when I was in Sunday school, but it's like a ram's horn trumpet that
is a shofar.
Yes, that. And like the Muslim person did like the call to prayer, the Arabic call to prayer, stuff like that. It was really cool. There were a lot of sects of Christianity that were like Ethiopian Orthodox and stuff like that, where it's like theologically the same, but so culturally different as to almost be a different religion, if that makes sense. Or you know what?
Yeah.
So that was really cool. And then went to the Dykes March Against Fascism.
Nice.
Which was a lot of fun. Just really cool hang out with people, that sort of thing. Probably the funniest thing was they had speakers, someone from the Democratic Socialists of America, someone from one of the local mutual aid groups, stuff like that. At one point, one of the speakers gets to the kind of the climax of their speech, and what do we do about fascism? And one of the people had a pit bull in the front, and the pit bull just starts barking.
Yep. Correct answer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then, went to Betty Who concert, which was really cool. And incredibly packed. Went to the Human Rights Council's or campaign's trans Pride March, and then the main Pride March. And so it was tons of things. I got almost no sleep, but it was really cool. It was really cool seeing also, like, for lack of a better word, like some of the less well-known kind of subcultures of like the queer community. So like there was a booth set up for the Gay Rodeo Association. It was like it wasn't like I would have expected like the stereotypical like Brookback Mountain like super good looking dude ranch dudes.
Well, I mean, most dudes are just dudes.
Well, but no, this was all like older dudes with huge handlebar mustaches that looked like they spent the last 30 years working a gold mine. Like straight up like that type of cowboy. It's like, that is badass. So yeah, was a lot of fun, was a really cool event. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, glad you had a good time.
Yeah.
I took like the last half of last week off. I was going to go on a little trip, but that fell through. So like I mostly just like was lazy around the house,
Which is fucking amazing.
That's so much
that
fun.
sounds so great. I mean,
yeah. It just like I get sheepish about it because like it doesn't look an awful lot different than what I do normally, but you know, it was more like unmotivated being around the house, I guess. So like, yeah, so like not a lot of stuff, you know, like that has happened with that, but like I've got my own Pride stuff coming up. Like tomorrow, I'm going to be going. It's not officially a part of Pride, but it might as well be going to a Laura Jane Grace concert. That is the lead singer of Against Me, going and doing solo stuff since that band hasn't been together for a while. Kind of jumping in, you know, head first or feet first or whatever. It's going to be probably the most trans room in the state at that point, of like full specific, like probably specifically of millennial trans women. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Very much looking forward to that. It's everything I can do to like not look up the set list, you know, just because, you know, you can see and it's like, no, it's better for it to be a surprise. But I don't know. I'm tempted because I want to know. But yeah, that's down in Columbus. And then Columbus Pride is this Saturday. No big plans or anything for it. I'm just gonna go and walk around and just be open to what I find. Right. So yeah, just gonna get a feel for it.
Yeah.
And then like the Mansfield Pride isn't until like later in the month, the one that is kind of closer to me. So yeah. So
man, I feel like Columbus Pride Columbus has so much cultural stuff that people don't know about. Like it's actually a huge player in, I know, like belly dance and stuff. So I feel like that will probably actually be really, really badass.
Yeah. I honestly don't know what to expect. So like my electrologist is, you know, like kind of involved in like helping set things up or whatever. And I asked her like, yeah, you know, so what should I do? And she's like, sunscreen, water, bring your own lunch. Otherwise, you know, yep. So I've got all those on lock. It's good. But yeah, we'll see. I'll report back next week with at least how the Columbus one went and with how the concert went.
Yeah.
Sounds sweet.
Yep. I think we should talk about games.
Sure.
Yeah. To do that, we're going to need to do the regular kind of show. What with the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss. And why don't we get started with The Grind. The Grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the last period of time or so. As is customary, Jala, you've been away the longest, so I will throw to you first.
Woot. Okay, so the very first thing I want to talk about is a short little indie game, brand new as well, It's a psychological horror game with a ASCII art, or ASCII-inspired art, rather, by solo Finnish developer Jesse Makkonen, and it just came out on May 19th. It's called Without a Dawn. So this game is approximately 1 hour long, so I don't want to say anything about the plot other than what's in the promo material. So, like, if you go to the Steam page, it says, she seeks refuge from her constant restless thoughts in a remote cabin. There are no distractions in the profound silence and isolation, but the eerie sound of the cold wind weaving through the trees keeps her awake. In the dark stillness of the night, the silence has begun to take on physical form. So, I did stream this. My playthrough is archived on my YouTube if it happens to fall off of Twitch, but I think it should still be up there by the time this episode drops. It feels to me like an A24 horror film.
Okay.
So it does a lot of neat stuff with second-person narrative, and at times I totally felt gaslit by how it's narrated, which of course is part and parcel of being someone playing a psychological horror game if it's done, done correctly. But I'd actually already picked up other of Jesse's games on a recent sale and had them in my backlog when this one came out. And I realized this was the same guy who did all those other games that I bought. So I'm probably going to end up, therefore, going on like, a run through all of his different games.
Going on a little bit of a tear.
Yeah. Right. So having this, I definitely want to play those. He has been making games for over a decade, so these are just like from a whole long span of time that these games have come out. Currently, Without a Dawn is on Steam, but Jesse is also looking for a publisher for consoles as well. And this is highly recommended for fans of old DOS-era text ventures and Mac Venture style games. This is not nearly as complex. It's more like a branching path visual novel. There's no inventory and it's short. But it gave me some real nostalgia for those types of games just from how it looks, how it presents and everything. Yeah. There's no music, but it tactically deploys sound effects to great effect because of that silence. So... of this game, Jesse said that he thinks of it more as an art piece than a game. And it's a psychological exploration and a kind of thought experiment. And the ending that I got was enigmatic and it left itself open-ended, at least from my interpretation, because you have some unreliable narrator stuff going on. So just bear in mind that when you're playing this, it kind of leans more into like an art house presentation to it. So
I'm looking. I'm looking at some of the screenshots here. Talk about the art, and it's really very unique. It looks like they are doing like a pixel shader, except instead of being pixels, it's like ASCII.
Yeah. Right. And you can actually, in the options, change the color palette, but you can also change the look of like the scan lines. So you can change it from the default ASCII looking art to a bunch of different other options that are similar. They do the same kind of effect. But anyway, like this, people should go look at this game for sure, because it's very striking looking. So.
It's cool that it's like unique within the ASCII art style, because I feel like that's been, like done to death when it was new and like the retro. So it's cool to innovate on it.
Right. So, like the way that he does this, that's why he called it like ASCII inspired. Because it's not direct ASCII, but it is using elements that refer back to that. Yeah.
So this is, I'm just curious, do you know anything about the background of the person? Because this is translated into English, Chinese, and Turkish, which is just a very strange, like...
I think he's got friends, hookups, folks that help him out with those other ones, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Okay, that's just a very specific, selection of languages.
So their Steam profile says they're from Finland.
Yes, he's from Finland. So, so the cost for this game, by the way, is $7 and some change, regular price. So even without a sale, it's still like the price of a coffee. So, it's worth playing, in my opinion. It is, like I said, it's about, somewhere between 40 minutes to 60 minutes. So it's not very long, but it is easily replayable because like there's a bunch of different, branching potential things that you can do. So it's very neat. I wish I could say more, but I can't without spoiling stuff. So
yeah.
Go play this game.
Yeah. You gifted me a copy of this, and that is when I need a one night thing. I think I'll stream it as well.
Yeah, it'll be
after enough time has passed. Yeah.
Right. It'll be a svelte little thing.
Yeah.
So, any questions about Without a Dawn?
No,
seems cool.
Rock on. So, the next game that I've played is Karma: The Dark World. So this is a first-person cinematic psychological thriller from Shanghai-based Pollard Studio LLC, which was released. This is another new one, March 27 of this year. This was the devs' first project, and I'm really interested to see what they do next. So this game is set in East Germany in the year 1984 in a dystopian world where everything is controlled by Leviathan Corporation. So you play as Daniel, a Leviathan Thought Bureau agent, diving into the minds of suspects to uncover some suspicious events. And the game is about 6 hours long. It goes through some big shifts as you play, in terms of just like the tone and what's going on, just because you are a guy who's diving into the minds of other people. So what you see is kind of dictated by the mind of that person. So that changes how things are presented to you.
A little bit of a Psychonauts kind of thing going on.
Right. So
you never dive into a teenager's mind, just so much porn.
Well, no worries. There's no such people around. I don't even know if there's children. Anyway, the first 2 hours or so are a very trippy 1984 text type glimpse into the life of workers under Leviathan. And then we shift to seeing the abusive and terrible home life of one of the main characters. And then finally, we uncover a whole mess of intrigue, ruination, and wild psychic stuff that I can't get into. Mm-hmm. So, stuff happens. You'd have to play the game to know. I did stream this also. It's up in the places. If you like creepy and weird dreamscape hell worlds, you'll love Karma.
Yeah.
So this, to me, leans more into being an experience rather than a game. Important for you to have like agency. However, you're bearing witness to the events as they unfold. And it's a fantastic first release for this dev, in my opinion. I'm definitely looking forward to a sequel. It sets it up for a potential sequel. And I'm looking forward to that longer story that they're kind of promising. It's a very pretty game. I mean, for being a creepy game.
Yeah, no, the style in this is great. Like there are two things that come to mind. First, like this, like down to the Eastern European setting reminds me of, it's a Bloober Team game, one of their lesser known ones, but I think it's actually one of their better ones. Observer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that game rules. This looks like a less cyberpunk version of that, while still being pretty cyberpunk. And from what I've seen, clips that you've sent over from your streams, like the monster, like the creature design in this is on point.
Oh yes, I love that critter, and I do have clips of that up on my account. Well, one of the critters anyway. That's one of the critters. There are more.
Are there any game mechanics outside of, is it like purely like a walking sim, or are there any like choice mechanics or any dialogue mechanics, like that sort of thing? Or
you have some few paltry choices in the dialogue, but I don't think that they make a lot of difference. However, because this is on rails, there's not like a branching path. This is one story you're going through, but there is a shooting element to this, but it's not with a gun, and it's kind of interesting what you're using. And that's all I'm going to say about that. It's very cool.
Okay.
There's a very memorable sequence when you first have to use that against a critter. It's pretty cool. So
nice.
It looks really good.
Yeah, it's a cool game. So, any questions?
No. I mean, not for me. I just it looks cool. This is another one that's like, I will stream that when it has been long enough since Jala has
I know. Well, as soon as I started streaming it, I got off of my first play of it, and I'd message you, and I'm like, Kaye, Kaye, you're gonna have to play this on stream too, because not very many people who listen to the show actually, pay attention to me when I stream, but they already pay attention to you streaming. And people who don't even listen to the level will pay attention to you streaming. So you need to play this so more people can see it. It's very cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving right along, I still have 2 more. I will try to be as fast as I can. I've got Danganronpa Ultra Despair Girls. This is a shooter/visual novel released in 2014 from Spike Chunsoft. Originally on Vita, but later released to PS4 and Steam. I played it on Steam. This is a spin-off of the original Danganronpa set between the events of the first and second games, where you play as Makoto's sister Komaru. So Makoto is the main character from the first game. You play as the main character from the first game's sister.
Yeah, she's been Silent Hill for the Roomed.
Yes.
And then mysteriously gets let out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, not so mysteriously.
Well, yeah.
But anyway, so originally when I'd asked folks about this title, the people who played it said it was a shooter and one of your main characters was Toko Fukawa, or Genocider Show, or Genocide Jack, whichever name you want to use for her. And
she was the ultimate literary writer from the first game.
First game.
Yeah.
Right, but like I could not stand her in the original game. Like she was okay until like you got up in her face and you were forced to talk to her a whole lot later in the game.
Yeah.
And then like I could not stand her at that point. So I stayed away from this game because I was like, if that's one of the main characters, I do not want to see her a lot on my screen on this thing. But eventually I picked it up probably during a sale, and it stayed in my backlog for a while. I don't know how long. And then after my general disappointment with Raincode, I wanted to circle back to Danganronpa, especially with how long since it's been, since my first playthrough. So since 2, I've developed more tolerance for Spike Chunsoft after playing so many of their games for years, sometimes without even knowing they were a Spike Chunsoft title. I figured it would be an interesting thing to come back to Danganronpa and then see how I feel about it the second time around with the tolerance level, But then instead of booting up the OG, I decided to play the spinoff.
Yeah.
So, okay.
It's like the closest thing I can think to call it is like a stiffer like Resident Evil 4 alike. It's got the same kind of like over the shoulder aiming based.
Except like over on the very, very basic side of things that yes, the way it looks, yes, the way it presents, yes. But otherwise
it's nowhere near as mechanically interesting.
No. Yeah. Well, so the first couple of chapters or so, I was totally annoyed by the antagonists, but in chapter 3, they start to develop into their own like characters a little bit more. They get more dimensionality to them, and it delves into this. The game kind of delves into their psyches a little bit, and the same thing happens to Toko and Komaru as well. So as the game progressed, I ended up liking a lot of the characters a lot more than I was expecting to ever. So, however, the gameplay is very much a mid shooter in a world that doesn't reward exploration with much other than collectibles. But what made this more tolerable for me was thinking about it in terms of an extended mini game from the mainline series, which is basically what this is, because these people don't make shooters. It's basically a very, very long mini game with some visual novel sections, So by the end, though, I found myself really liking a couple of the antagonist kids, as well as both Komaru and Toko.
Yeah.
And as a pair, and I ship them. So
so like having Toko there. So it's been 10 years since I played this, forgive me. But like having Toko there without her slobbering over Byakuya, the ultimate like business heir guy,
right?
Who's a great character. I like that character a lot. But like the unpleasant thing was like the way that she acted around him to me. And like having her kind of be on her own here and get a little bit more time, I think did do that character favors.
Well, there's that sort of, but she's also still pining over him. And at the end of every chapter, like after you get your ranking, then you have a scene that's in Toko's mind of like Byakuga talking to her and like, rewarding her if she does good or whatever. And like, it's very weird shit.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
That's a thing still. And then of course she's still talking about it and going off into fantasy world every once in a while. But they like over time, as the game continues, that disappears. So again, like it improves as it keeps going, actually. But what surprised me is that I teared up and cried during a couple of the scenes. I was not expecting this crappy shooter spin-off title to be able to do that. But the narrative centers childhood trauma as a primary theme, not just for the antagonist, but also for your main characters. And then like the kind of situation that they're put in is such that like they really do have like this really strong bond that they form with each other. And yeah, like it's a interesting. So this title isn't going to be for everybody, but I was legit surprised by how much I actually ended up liking this. I don't know that I want to go back and replay it. I'm good. But like maybe watching cutscenes or something is on the menu later.
I've probably got a TV tropes read in me at some point. Yeah.
Right. So any questions about Ultra Despair Girls?
No, not for me.
Nobody else cares about Danganronpa. So. Okay, sorry, because the next one's also Danganronpa. S. Yeah, Ultimate Summer Camp. Another Danganronpa
I'm still
title.
Trying to figure out which one's Dang and which one's Rampa.
Well, there's two main characters in Ultra Despair Girls. You got a 50-50 shot.
Yeah.
So
seems.
So Danganronpa S is another spin-off. This one was released on Switch in 2021, celebrating the 10th anniversary of the series. It was released on Steam in 2022. I picked it up on Steam at some point, probably during the same sale I got the other one. And I actually booted this game up first when I was trying to play something, and then I immediately ran into characters from Ultra Despair Girls. And so I was like, but I don't know who these characters are, so let me go play that other game first, and as long as I can tolerate it. And then I ended up actually liking that game quite a lot. So then I circled back to this one after I finished Ultra Despair Girls.
Does this have characters from the anime, from like the what is it, the Danganronpa 3 that is like technically the sequel, something or other? Or is this all just the games?
This is the games.
Okay, all right.
So this is a weird title. It's got a couple of different things going on. The primary game loop, which is very fun to me, is a 50-day cycle of a board game set on Jabberwock Island from Danganronpa 2, where you run characters through an attempt to both power them up and complete as much of the board as possible before you run out of time. You roll dice to move spaces on the board. So there's random events, there's RPG-like battles where you fight and gain XP against Monokuma-themed monsters. There are event squares where random things can happen, resulting in different stat growths. There's friendship squares where you can see characters who would never interact with each other from their different games come into contact with each other and talk to each other. There are bosses on each island that you have to beat. Then after you fight them, you have to fight mechs on the central island to unlock the next area. And there's shops where you can upgrade your attack and defense, as well as buy cards. Oh yeah, there's also cards. So you can play, you roll the dice, but you can also play a card to gain different effects, temporary boost to your stats, things that affect what your rolls are, cards that will teleport you to different locations or double your rewards from the next space you land on or whatever. You can also get cards from meeting up with characters on the board, because the characters will show up in random spots after every time you roll the dice. And so you can land on a spot and meet up with a character that will just give you a card.
This is too many systems. There's too much happening here.
Well, I mean, it's a board game, and you get cards from special card squares, random events, and everything. There's also skill trees. So there's skill trees and skill points of 3 different varieties. So there's basically attack, magic, like physical attack, magical attack, and healing. And everybody has the same skills to pick from, and you can level up those skills. And the number of slots you have available for skills depends on the rarity of the character that you have, normal, super, or ultimate, or whatever, that you get out of the mono machine for playing the game.
It's a fucking gotcha thing, too.
It has a gotcha element to it.
Good Lord.
But it's like you get the coins to get that from playing the board game. And you're powering up
by the gotcha.
Right. And you're powering up characters so you can play a versus battle mode where you create teams of characters to fight in what the game calls a tower, but it's really just a series of those RPG-like battles rushes. And it's just basically an increasingly difficult series of battles that you go through. But you can also get items to craft stronger equipment to continue progression. You can also get mono machine coins, so you can, go use Monokuma medals or whatever to go get stuff. Because like you don't just get cards to play in the board game, you also get like power up items and other stuff. There's also a separate, screen just for those mono machines, and there's 3 different types that you have available to you with 3 different types of currency that you get from different stuff. So
this is ridiculous.
It's a lot. So the thing is, the versus battle is not particularly interesting to me, but the board game section is really fun to play through. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of fun going through that with a bunch of different characters. And like, I don't even have to go through the tower. I can just go play the board game part, eventually get more mono coins and get more characters unlocked.
Is there a story, or is this just like mashing the action figures together?
What's fun for me is the fact that you have characters that you have meeting up with other characters that they would never have met because they were from different games, or sometimes it's characters from the game that they're from, like that are both in the same game. But like the interactions that they have are fun and funny, and I enjoy that. And the little loop is like maybe half an hour to go through one session of the board game. So it's quick and fast as well. Okay. And I will tell you, like, when I got one character who, of all the characters, Miyu from Danganronpa 3, the inventor lady who is also super full of herself and horny.
Okay, that describes like 7 different characters.
I know, this is the one in the pink outfit.
Okay.
That was all up on Kibo, the robot guy.
Right.
But anyway, she ended up being like super OP compared to everybody else. Like she ended up getting like all of the stat boosts randomly from all of the different stuff. And I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. But I have a lot of fun playing that, and Dave will stop what he's doing to look over my shoulder and see what I'm doing in that, because he enjoys watching me play that as well. So, the loop is cool. It's short, and again, this is overall like a fan servicey game, and I don't mean that in terms of being sexy. I just mean people who enjoy this are going to be people who have played the Danganronpa games, and if you haven't, then you don't care. So
it's for people who are like invested and have good memories of these characters. Like the entire thing's like stylized after like a beach episode, right? Right. So, but so basically the kind of premise, the reason why they're all on this island is basically they did a virtual vacation with everybody from Hope's Peak Academy, and like all of the people got uploaded into this digital version, to go through this island to go to a summer camp. So. That's the premise for it, but like that doesn't come up really. I mean, like it's the theme of the interactions and stuff, but otherwise it's not a big deal.
Is there like an end to the board game advancement, like where it's like I need to get to level like whatever, or is it just like infinite?
I would love to know. I can get to the 3rd island, but I have not gotten past the 3rd island yet in the 50 days. I'm trying.
Yeah, game design wise, I think this looks really cool. Yeah, because the board game part looks very similar to like Mario Party or something like that. So like having a progressive way to do that seems like a cool idea.
Yeah.
So do you think there's a gain from being in Danganronpa game, or could this have been literally anything?
It has to be something that's basically pulled from somewhere. Like you have to already have cachet with these characters in order for it to be quite as fun, because part of the fun is that you can get a Monokuma card and you can play Monokuma running around the island and interacting with people, and that's great fun. And you wouldn't get to do like some of that stuff, and you wouldn't get to see these kinds of interactions otherwise. But like if it was just a character that acted like Monokuma going to a bunch of other characters that you didn't already know, it wouldn't have like the same resonance that it does if you are a Danganronpa fan and you're playing this. So I would say it definitely has to be tied to a property for this to be worthwhile. Yeah. Could they palette swap this and do other properties? Sure, absolutely. But,
Yeah, I don't know that I have a lot of questions. I mean, like, is there yeah, no, I could go and look at the characters who are on there, but like, if I'm being honest, I don't like my memory of Danganronpa characters is fading because it's been what 6-7 years since V3 came out. Yeah, I don't know.
I remember them all, and I've been playing that game I played once a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I am currently replaying Danganronpa 1, by the way.
Okay. All right. I didn't tell you to do that.
I know.
It seems like, at least going by cosplay, the only characters I see are like Crazy Hair Girl
Junko,
and and the one that's I'm pretty sure is a fusion between Dang and Rampa.
I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know. There's a bear that is half black and half white.
Right,
that's
Monokuma.
Kind of the two villains is who you see. Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, that's what I've been playing.
Yeah. I will go. I have one, but it is relatively big. But also, I don't know how much there is to say about it. But also, I need to come up with a third preamble thing in order for this to be a joke. I got a Switch too, and I have been playing Mario Kart World.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what makes it a world?
So what makes it a world is the interesting thing that they do with like the world design. So Mario Kart traditionally has been a bunch of separate stages. You know, like you go and race the circuit, and you know, it's one, you know, 4 tracks, and then it tallies up your score, and you're done. This, like, all of the tracks are like arranged into basically like continents. And if you want to, you can go into free roam mode and then just like drive around and find like challenges in them. And they all kind of connect to each other with these off-road kind of things. So that's kind of like the big gimmick for this. You can still play it as like a, you can still play it as a like a series, you know, like a Grand Prix, you know, series of courses like that. Plays just like a normal Mario Kart would, although, and I'm showing that I have not maybe played as much Mario Kart 8 as other people. Like, something that is neat is there are like circuit courses that are like, you know, you do them in a circle, and they're like, for lack of a better word, like highway courses that are meant to like connect other circuit courses. For the other mode, which is I need to actually like look at what it's called because I forget what it's called. But it's almost like a racing version of a battle royale. Yeah. So Mario Kart World, I need to see what this is actually called. It's like Knockout Race or something like that. But what this is, so all of the races, like you have a shitload of characters in them, like 24, I think, racing at a given time. So with the way that the knockout works is over the course of, you know, one of these circuits, you know, the four races or whatever, you need to place higher and higher or else you are eliminated. So like, of the 24, like at the end of the first race, you know, everybody below 16th position gets knocked out. And then it goes on and on with fewer and fewer characters kind of in the mix up until it's down to the last 4 to see who is going to kind of place at the end of it. This is fun playing, you know, just like multiplayer, but also just like it is an interesting wrinkle to the to the Grand Prix race, even just in like single player as you're exploring the courses or whatever. A, because like you race the courses in like a continuous line, like there's no stop in between them. And B, like the character of the race changes from being like super chaotic at the start to being like super locked in and competitive at the end. Which is an interesting kind of evolution through it. And you achieve that with on single player just by the very, very aggressive rubber banding, which is a trademark of the a trademark of the series.
That's what I was going to ask about is like, does the rubber banding change when it's only like 4 people left versus the first one when it's, an army of people?
It feels like it. But yeah, it's hard to tell for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. But like, it's weird because this is like, it's the launch title for the Switch 2. It's kind of like the only official like full game that Nintendo has put out with it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could remove the word launch in that, and that would still make sense. Yeah.
There's other stuff like I picked up the Yakuza 0 director's cut because like that is, I don't know if that's exclusive, but it was marketed, and Yakuza has always seemed like a series to me that was made to be played on a Switch. Like that just kind of makes sense. But like, even with all of that stuff and like the open world thing is interesting, like the little challenges that you do feel almost like you're finding the P switch to start them, and they're all like short little bursts, almost like doing a star in Mario 64 is what it is. But like, even with all that, and even with like a couple of different additions, like, oh, you can grind rails if you want to, like, maybe a suboptimal route, but you're just like, stuck to it. If you want to go, it's harder to knock you off, et cetera, et cetera. There's like wall riding, which lets you go to like higher heights than you normally would. Like you can basically drive on every surface. With all of that, it is still Mario Kart. With like, if you've played Mario Kart, you know how you feel about it. So it is hard for me to like come in and say like Mario Kart's great. Like it's a real fun game. I don't know that it is enough to build a console launch on. And this is not going to necessarily keep people, I think, tide it over for a while. The next big Switch 2 game that's coming out is Donkey Kong Bonanza. Like that open world's kind of like kind of action and crafting kind of game, I think. That was
I mean, to be fair, the last open world Donkey Kong game was one of the Nintendo 64's greatest games.
No, I can't go with you on that. I can't. You're specifically trying to piss me off. Yeah.
I had one question about Mario Kart. The P-switch things, what do you get for completing those sorts of things? Is it just like progress towards 100%ing the game? Or
it's unlocking stuff. Yeah. Okay. So like either different like different characters, different outfits, things like that.
Okay, gotcha.
Cardinal Sin in this, Daisy is not unlocked from the beginning. I unlocked her pretty quickly, but I don't know if that's randomized.
Can you play as Bowsette?
No, I don't think that they have not added Bowsette into canon. I think Bowsette is still a fan creation for people to launder their, Mario TG art into being. So, yeah, it's neat. It is not quite like Mario Kart Burnout Paradise like I kind of expected it to be. Maybe that was a little bit ambitious for me to kind of project onto it based on the remit, but yeah, it's neat. I'm having fun, sitting down with it and playing like a circuit, working my way up the CCs.
If they added fiery crashes to Mario Kart,
I was just talking from like a world structure where it's like, okay, like you pull up to different places and it's like a different race with a different like objective in the middle of it. Like having horrible crashes would be fun, but
you play as the
are there
shell.
Any Pokemon in Mario Kart?
Maybe in Mario Kart 8, I didn't keep up with the DLC characters, where it kind of became like it was a little bit like a Smash Brothers.
Because Squidlings were like base game in that, weren't they?
Yeah, I think this. I almost call them the Squidwards. The Splatoon. The Splatoon characters are in this one, so it's weird what is and isn't brought in. Like, I don't know. I don't think that there's even like, somebody pointed out like, oh, there's nothing from the Mario RPGs. And, so like you don't get like a Vivian or you don't get like a Geno. So like what is and isn't included in a Mario Kart, and like a large number of the new characters are just like monsters from the game. from the games. Like you can play as like the dolphin, like the bottlenose dolphins or whatever they are. So I've not unlocked everything and I have not seen what's there entirely, but
fair enough.
It's neat. And the Switch 2, it's a bigger Switch. Like Mario Kart World looks amazing. Like it looks amazing and it runs really well. Like, even like on my big TV where the original Switch kind of like even at the start was a little bit showing its showing some strain on the games or whatever. Everything runs really smoothly and looks great, at least in that game. So we'll see I'll see like how Yakuza looks in it, etc. But yeah,
I'm not looking forward to even larger handhelds. They become no longer handhelds anymore.
that's the thing, right? Yeah, like it's a little bit nice having a bigger screen, but yeah, no, I miss something in the Vita and 3DS kind of form factor.
Right.
Like it took, I was like, okay, if I want to carry this around, I don't want to just throw it on my bag where it can like the screen can just like bump up against stuff. But if you want a case for it, like a case for a Switch 2 is basically like it is as large as you remember like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles lunchbox feeling when you were a kid. Like it's gigantic, right. Like it takes up. So I ended up getting like a little like a felt sleeve for it.
Right.
But yeah. Yeah, that's what I got. Any more questions about Mario Kart World?
Nope.
Okay. Who wants to go next?
I can go.
Okay.
So I don't think I've spoke about this at all because we were all out last week. I started playing The Division 2 again.
Ooh. Oh yeah,
they just released. They just released their second DLC, or their second expansion, basically, and this one is set in Brooklyn. And so that kind of got me back into it. It's funny, I didn't realize this game actually had kind of a crazy history because after the first expansion, Warlords of New York or whatever,
mm-hmm.
It was basically closed down. Like it was sunsetted. They set the in-game events to just randomly cycle so that people could keep playing, but development was stopped. But lots of people kept playing, and apparently like the devs for it kept lobbying and for it to kind of be revived. And I think 2 years after it was sunsetted, it was unsunsetted.
Okay.
And so they have a small team, but they've been developing content for it ever since. So I'm actually, ironically enough, I picked it up to along with the new DLC, but I'm actually still working through the content they've added since I last played.
Okay. This is the Ubisoft looter shooter, like semi-post-apocalyptic New York kind of thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
New York and DC.
Okay.
So I did realize I apparently only live places where they've set Division games.
Okay.
So yeah, it's funny. In the New York one, I actually was able to find my apartment.
Yeah.
I think in this one, I know they have my neighborhood, but I think they cut off the map just north of my apartment.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah. I was going to say, so that includes it, but that was me assuming what direction it was coming from. So no.
Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of cool. So the way the game, the previous expansion ends up, you finally defeat kind of the rogue agent who's been been kind of the primary antagonist since the first Division game. And he's sort of this person who's decided that, I don't know, it's just like generic like Nietzsche quoting villain bullshit. Yeah. Like he's I don't know, decided that the Division is corrupt and for some reason he needs to like cause more apocalypse on humanity and that sort of stuff. But basically, when you defeat him, he does the whole like, "Oh, I've actually already won," and it turns out he's activated all of these sleeper cells. So most of the content they've added since has been this, you taking on this series of sleeper cells. And it's actually kind of cool because when these were all, in-game events type of things where, you had to complete a series of objectives and challenges and, fight through sub-bosses, that sort of thing, to unlock these, bosses and ultimately taking out the cell. And kind of the nice thing they've done is now, for all of them except the currently running event, you just go in and just play the final mission. Like it plays the cutscene, giving the background on all the people you would have fought in around it, but then like just cuts to the actual good gameplay.
Yeah.
And it's neat because each of these, at least that I've played so far, has unique mechanics in it. So one of them, the cell has developed these EMP weapons that only work on Division agents. And so, well,
I invented the Doug bomb. It only hit the name Doug.
Yeah, it is. The game is a very specific form of silly because it's what I think Division 1 was right before Clancy died, maybe.
Okay.
But it's the big thing is on the Tom Clancy games, he a big thing was he refused to let them use technology that wasn't realistic. So like famously, they had to convince him to let them have the Triclops thing in Splinter Cell because he argued it wasn't actually possible to miniaturize the technology enough to have all three modes in one headset.
Okay.
But this is, he's now no longer.
He's not around to stop him.
Right. So it's got this weird combination of like, it's still a Tom Clancy game, so it's still techno thriller, like we're going to explain things and have, technology and that sort of thing, but it no longer has anything keeping it on the rails. But anyway, so that enemy, it was very much having to deal with basically losing, periodically losing access to all your skills that are you rely on. There's another one that developed a new biological weapon, and so was a lot of smoke grenades and stuff like that allowed the enemy to have a lot of territorial control, stuff like that. So it's just really, really cool seeing this thing where it's obviously a small team. All of these missions happen on maps that were already in the game that have been repurposed. A lot of them use the same assets that are already in the game. But it's cool to see them, find ways to keep, providing interesting content.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I want to highlight, just because I think it's really cool, I wish other games would learn from it, is the game does a ton to make the item economy very accessible.
Okay.
Kind of the way it works is a lot of you have different manufacturers for each of the gear sets, and those act as kind of miniature gear sets like from World of Warcraft. And then you have actual gear sets that if you wear a whole set, will unlock some ability that that dramatically changes the way the game plays. And those can give anything from, there's one of them I was using for a while that's like every time one of your bullets hits an enemy, you gain a stack of like 0.5% increased damage and, can have up to like 50 stacks, that sort of thing. To, on the other hand, there's one where every time you hit an enemy with a semi-automatic or bolt action rifle, you draw a poker card, and then once you draw 5, get a bonus versus based on how good of a poker hand it is.
Oh, huh.
Interesting.
So, like, there's some of them
Bulletro.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry. Fuck.
That's really good.
Two neurons connected, and I literally couldn't stop myself.
No problem. I appreciate it. But the thing that's nice about it is you can set up basically targeted gear to one of these sets or one of these gear manufacturers. And you can also do it for like a specific class of weapons, that sort of thing. And then I don't know exactly how it works, but basically I would say like if you run most missions, over the course of the mission, say 5 to 8 pieces of that gear will generally drop. Which, since a set has at most 6 items, you basically can do like a couple runs, and you might not have particularly good rolls on the stats the first time around, but you can at least have the gear set you want to make your build work.
Yeah, that's good. Like, even if it's a diminished form of it, like you're set up to play the way you want to get the unlocks of the better versions of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They also have a nice thing where you can any gear roll you get, any gear item you get, you can basically destroy it to take one of its stats and save it in your like crafting library or whatever, and then any other item you can modify one of its stats to be one of those stats. So long story short, it most items have 3 stats on them, I should say. So it basically changes it from, in order to get like a max tier item, instead of having to have 3 rolls that are perfect, I only need 2. And like I have several max tier items from that standpoint. So yeah, just does, I don't know, it's kind of funny. This is very much a live service game, but it feels like one that has a lot of features to keep it from wasting your time.
Yeah, I mean, that's good, especially for a game this late in its cycle to, fast track you to playing it the way that you want to play it to see the new content. Like, exactly.
So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. This is a game that I think is, very unique and, in a lot of ways does something that, in terms of, being kind of an RPG based tactical shooter that there really isn't a lot of alternative to. I am a little bit interested to see Division 3 has been announced.
So is that where you're going to move to next, or?
Yeah, we'll have to see where it's set.
Right.
I am interested to see where they go with this. One, because like, I don't know, they're burning through content. Like, I'm pretty sure, and this is a spoiler, but I'm pretty sure the president's been killed by this point and stuff like that. Like, and I don't know, I wonder if they'll ever reconcile the fact that your character just has the world's worst job. But yeah, I'm just interested to see where they go with this storyline, because it feels more and more strange that like you're this super agent that's just perpetually saving post-apocalyptic America.
Well, you know, video games need a main character.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, Division 2. I don't know that I have any other questions about it.
Yep, that's all I've got.
Ben, round us out.
I just got one, but it's a new one, and it's interesting. It's a game called Skald Against the Black Priory.
Oh, come on. Yeah. No, we did
do y'all know this?
We did a Watch Out for Fireballs about it. That game fucking owns. I love it.
Yeah. All right. This was so I have a group of friends from college, and we kind of started doing like a game book club where somebody picks a game and then we all like try it out and talk about it. Because we just had done that with like the Blueprints and a couple other games. So this one came up. I didn't really know anything about it, so I kind of went in blind. The game is like a lo-fi Baldur's Gate type entry, but with cosmic horror. So I think it's a single dev, Lars Arudson, but it's with a larger company.
Yeah, it's mostly.
Of course, he's named Lars.
So it's mostly just the one guy. Like his company is like him and the body that contracts out to people.
Yeah.
This is specifically like calling back to like Ultima Games is what this is doing.
Yeah, and one of the main artists of the game too is like their own entity where they do their own style of art that's kind of like in the same wheelhouse of what's in here. But it's basically like lo-fi pixel art, and the part that really caught me by surprise was like the Cthulhu bent of it, or like the that sort of cosmic horror type bent to it. The premise of the game, just to give you a narrative overview, is you crash land your ship on an island. You're trying to seek a person, and that's kind of all you're given. The reason why you crash land on the island is a giant sea monster attacks and breaks your ship up, and that's kind of like the hint of like kind of cosmic horror stuff that's to come, and kind of ramps up as you go. As you're exploring the island, like things just don't seem right. There's like cultists, there's like weird abominations that you start fighting that are like, oh, it's like a crab, but weird and bad and maybe not of this earth type thing.
Yeah. Like very early on, there's like a scene where you go into a well. That like a weeping mother is there because like she knows that her kids died in the well, but their voices, like her kids' voices, are calling out to her, beckoning her down in. Yeah, and you go down there and it's being overtaken by like this like fungus, like this color out of space kind of
right. That's exactly what I thought of too, is color out of space during that part. Good stuff. And yeah, I was just very taken by surprise about this, because it's like definitely a genre that I really enjoy, and it feels like a genre that's really hard to do right, but this seems to have like done it justice so far. I think there's 5 chapters in the game, and I'm at chapter 4, but they're not all like the same length, like each one. So I think I have still a couple hours left of the game.
Yeah, you're pretty close if you're in chapter 4.
Okay.
Have you seen the play?
I don't think so. So I might not have that yet. I just got a boat again. I'll say that much.
All right. Yeah. So you're headed up past some cool stuff. You'll know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Like you have really cool stuff ahead of you.
Yeah. And so to kind of talk about the gameplay of this, it's a CRPG. It's kind of in the same vein of Baldur's Gate 3, but it's like a simplified version of it. They do a cool choice with the upgrade tree. Like, so each character that you have, they have a specific like D&D type class, like cleric, bard, you know, like whatever. But instead of it being like really freeform where you allocate your points to, they kind of prescribe it a bit, and they'll basically have upgrade trees that are specific to the character.
Yeah.
So, for example, some sort of cleric that you might get, they have like a tree that's dedicated to upgrading like their ability to hit with a club, or they have like a magic tree where you could kind of upgrade things with like body magic or the school of like body divinity or whatever. And so you can kind of choose where you allocate your points to. Like every time you level up, you get like 3 points that you can stack it to. And the other thing is like, so you have this node, each node of the upgrade tree will have 3 tiers to it, where it's like you can put 1 point in to get something, 2 points to get the second thing, and then 3 more additional points to get all 3 things. So it's like 1, 3, and 6 points total. And usually the sixth thing is something more substantial, like a permanent ability or like a new move for the character. Whereas like the first 2 are typically something like you might get a stat upgrade, like plus strength, or you might get some sort of skill upgrade, like you're better at thieving or lockpicking or something like that. So it does make for interesting choices. I think also the tree is leveled off, or it's gated by what your level is. So like when you hit level 5, 10, 15, and maybe 20,
new tiers will unlock.
Yeah, exactly. You can progress down the tree. So it's like basically the question you're trying to answer is whether to go like breadth versus depth on like these nodes. Because you could just try and be like, okay, I just want to upgrade a bunch of my presence ability, whatever that means. So I might just spread out on all these different trees and hit those like level 1 pieces. Or I might go really deep on a certain tree and be like, for my rogue, I might just do this backstabbing tree and just go whole hog into that and then have awesome backstab abilities. So there's interesting choices there. I think my only mild criticism of it is I still have a chapter left, and I've kind of maxed out all the trees that I'm interested in on my characters. So it kind of has like the Arkham type games problem, where it's like, okay, so I've made my big decisions now, and now it's kind of like falling action, where the rest of the things are more piddly things that I'm upgrading just for like minor stats boost, where it's like, better game design would be like I'd be hitting even bigger and bigger things up until the end. But that's just like a mild criticism. It's not a big deal. I think kind of the way I've talked to a few other people who played it, it's kind of like one of my friends like didn't even notice like the last like upgrades for like level 19 and 20 or whatever. They're basically already maxed out at that point, and it doesn't really make a substantial difference. So for better or worse, it's like even if you miss it, it's not a big deal. You've kind of hit the top at that point, and you're just playing the game, which is fine. And then the other mild criticism I'll have about it, and it depends because the difficulty is like super, super flexible here. There's a lot of different options if you set the difficulty. There's like base presets, but you can modify a lot of different things to it. There's maybe like 10 to 20 different things that you can adjust for the difficulty level. So you can do custom difficulty levels if you want.
And it also has like cheats built in, like the entire thing is like, you can break it open basically with like a console command that is styled after like the Commodore 64 kind of like text input screen. You get tab and open that up, and you can do a bunch of stuff. This is, you can tell in a lot of ways this is like a love letter to all the games of that era. So I'm playing it on normal difficulty. A mild criticism I was going to say is like, I'm not thinking terribly much while I'm doing combat for the most part. Like once you hit a good enough level, and usually you do that if you kind of explore around and do all the side quests and stuff, you're basically just swinging back and forth until all of the enemies die. Mainly the decision is like when you rest and get all your health back and get all your like mana back, and that's more of like the decision that you make. So that's kind of like a little bit of a downer. I mean, there's some mild like positional decisions you make. Like you have range characters, and you have like characters who are good if they're attacking when someone's flanked. So you can try and do those sorts of things in battle. But there's certain battles where it's like you're too confined to be able to do that even. And so you're just like having one dude attack another dude, and for 5 to 10 minutes until the battle's over. And that's kind of like a little bit of a slog, I guess. But those mild criticisms aside, it has been a really enjoyable experience so far. Just like the map design and the side mission design are really interesting.
there's like just like the ambiance of the game like really sells it. Like
the vibe is immaculate.
Yeah. To spoil like a few of the early areas, it's like there's a lighthouse with a lighthouse keeper there, and maybe it's because I love the movie The Lighthouse, but I really like that, like where it's like you're talking to them and they sound crazy, but then like it's like they could be sane and they've just seen crazy stuff. Like I love that ambiguity, and then having like a dank like swamp waterway underneath it that you can explore around, and then there's like messed up stuff down there. Awesome. Love it. Pitch perfect. So yeah, the vibes are great with this. If you like Cthulhu stuff, this is like a pretty strong recommendation to play.
Yeah.
If you like CRPGs, this is a medium strong recommendation to play. Yeah. So I'm not even done with it, but I already feel like I've gotten like good value out of it. So,
and you have some of the best stuff in the game up ahead.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I like it. I want to gush about stuff, but it's spoiler. Like this was like we knew like when it came out and people were recommending it that it was going to be for us on Watch Out for Fireballs for me and Gary, but like it is one of the best surprises that we've had on the show in recent memory.
Wow.
Of like what a good fit it is.
Yeah. And I was reading articles there. I know, was it Sven from Larian Studios? Like he tweeted about this game and like said, like recommended and everything. And it's cool because like the systems do kind of mirror that of Baldur's Gate with like the camping system with like allocating food and stuff like that. And one thing I hadn't mentioned, but there's crafting in this game. Like there's like kitchen stuff where you can make food like for your party, so you restore stuff when you sleep. But there's also like alchemy tables where you can like learn potions and like make those to have like effects on the battlefield or like buff your characters or cure them from whatever weakness or crazy thing comes up in battle. So
like the designer's goal was to like capture the feeling of playing those older like Ultima style games, but with like as many like quality of life improvements and just like design upgrades that you could get from something modern, you know, like a Baldur's Gate with, you know, like an action point system kind of deal.
It seems cool. I'm definitely would be interested in. I think they have like an expansion, or they have like a deluxe version of the game. But I'll probably get into that later. But I know that they said that they, or at least the developer said that they wanted to make more stuff after this, whether it's like a sequel or DLC. But
it's
we'll see.
It's a fully realized enough world that I would like to see more stuff in it. I would also like to see them, you know, like take this engine, because all of this is like their own tools and stuff. I want to see like them take on another genre that they really like too. I kind of trust them implicitly. So
I definitely enjoy it. I haven't beaten it yet, but I think I'll probably see it through in the next week or two. Thumbs up.
Let me know when you get to the thing that I'm talking about. You'll know what it is.
Yeah. I'll I'll talk about it then.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Cool.
That's all I got.
That's games. That's games to us, baby.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and you answer it. Dennis posted this last week when we thought we were doing an episode, and Dennis isn't here, so now I have to read this. Dennis asked the nice people, sometimes devs can't help but engage in a little light trolling. What are some of the best or funniest gotcha moments that you've fallen for in games? And I'll get us started here with Frenza, who says, giant skeleton ball in the catacombs in Dark Souls 3. Was laughing too hard to even be mad. Yeah. You're just walking down a dark hallway and then boom, skeleton boulder.
Why not?
Yeah. Related to that, Jala, what does Dave from Tales of the Backlog say?
Dave says, every time Patches kicks me into a pit or otherwise fucks with me, it makes my day.
And after a while, like basically anytime after Demon Souls, you have no excuse to like not expect Patches to do it. Like it would be more of a troll if he didn't. Yeah. Let's see.
Sounds like exactly what Patches would say.
One of my favorite things because Patches turns into like a spider in Bloodborne, he technically follows kind of the same story arc as MCP Pants from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
I was not expecting that reference.
Yeah. Let's see. Moxie, what does Warren say?
Warren says, there is a very specific climbing section in Lisa the Painful that does this very well. Actual minutes of climbing up a rope just get made fun of by a sign. And you can't jump down, so you have to climb back the long way. Eve has its own music.
It's not just made fun of by a sign. You reach the top of it, and it is just a pixel art of a hand flipping you the bird. It is so fucking funny. In a game that is is made to make you feel uncomfortable. And yeah. It's a good moment. And Robinson came through and said, yeah, that's exactly where their mind went as well. Ben, what does Mirko say?
Mirko says, press space to say apple and Portal 2 got an actual literal out loud laugh out of me. Possibly the funniest moment in a video game, possibly because the player provides both a setup and punchline. And I'm going to read their next one, I guess, too.
Yeah, go ahead.
They say, and Undertale, about 2/3, yes, we thought you might try that, by both weight and volume, of course. Too many to enumerate.
Yeah. Man. So now that Deltarune is out, I need to play it. That's not even an addition. That's just me saying there's another game I need to play. Throw it on the pile.
Right.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, the press space Apple, it's when like Wheatley's like, oh, I've woken you up after 3,000 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, and you press space and you jump, and like that's how you communicate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's at the beginning where they're checking you for brain damage. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, you jumped. So you jumped there.
Let's see. Callum says, fission mailed. When it first happened, it took me a moment to realize the game was still playing. They're referring to the end of Metal Gear Solid 2 when the simulation starts breaking down. Yeah, that eventually, like, there is stuff in that is still genuinely upsetting. As like everybody in the codex starts like turning on you. Yeah, this is when you wake up inside like the Metal Gear arsenal or whatever it is.
Mm.
Yeah. Let's see. Jala, what does Hurricane Belushi say?
Hurricane Belushi says, to anyone under the impression that FromSoft discovered the joys of being mean/funny with Demon Souls, let me introduce you to Kingsfield skeletons that like to pop out of treasure chests and stab you.
That is the way that they did Mimics.
And that's relevant to the last comment.
It is. Moxie, what is the last comment from Brain in a Bowl?
Brain in a Bowl says, the first mimic you encounter in Dark Souls. That surprise in that place is just deliciously evil. Out of game, Kaye and Gary promising a waff on Project Snowblind. Twice.
Yeah. That was not intentional. That was Project Snowblind refusing to run on modern systems in any form or fashion. So it was the best intentions.
I actually don't remember where the first mimic is in Dark Souls, so I'm going to have to look that up.
It's in Sens.
Yeah. I'll look it up.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to not spoil it?
Oh, no. I know where Sens is, but I just remember that entire map being a troll, so.
Yeah. No, it's go ahead. Moxie, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say every time so Mimic is maybe mine as well.
Okay.
It's probably my favorite Dark Souls enemy.
Oh, they're great.
Also, it just always reminds me of the reoccurring gag and Frieren Beyond Journey's End, where she keeps getting eaten by mimics.
Okay. Well, yeah. I've not seen that, but yeah, mimics are. I love how ascendant mimics are. Like to me, like the thing. I can't think of mimics now without thinking of the best cosplay that I've ever seen. which was it was a dad who was going around. I think he like vaguely dressed in Dark Souls stuff, but his kid must have been like 8, 9, something like that, roughly that age. But he was dressed up as a mimic. In that, like, he had the treasure chest with like the teeth or whatever kind of like around his torso or whatever. Like it was a whole act kind of deal where the kid, like the treasure chest was big enough that if the kid sat down on the ground and like hunched over, they just looked like a treasure chest. And like the kid even knew to like do the subtle like breathing kind of motion on the lid. It was so cool. Like, I hope that kid, this was like 7 years ago now, so the kid's probably in high school. If you're out there, kid, that fucking ruled. Oh man. So mimics for you, Moxie. Any other trolls that you?
Yep.
Yeah. Gonna keep the FromSoft train going here. Not original Kingsfield, in Kingsfield 2, walking down a tunnel, and at the end of the tunnel, you see like a sign. And as you're like walking toward it, you fall through an illusory floor into like a pretty big like anthill dungeon, fighting big bugs or whatever. There's no reason to circle back up to get back around there, but if you know where the floor is going to fall out, you can actually jump over that little gap and get to the end. What do you think the sign says? It says, "Caution, floor out."
And this is Kingsfield?
This is Kingsfield. So this is like 1997, I think. 1996, something like that. FromSoft has had the juice for a while. Yeah.
So they were always big fans of like the trolling messages and stuff.
Yeah. I got to that and I laughed out loud. Like, this is like intentional comedy in a game that is otherwise, I mean, kind of bare bones in terms of the presentation, like it is cool and eerie, but very much of its time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jala, how about you?
So I read the question aloud at the dinner table, and then Dave's response was, "You're famously not gotten by things."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm suspicious of everything. So, I mean, like, I don't know. I had to really think about it. And I'm like, about the closest I can approximate to something actually surprising me, maybe, would be like the volume to which they commit to the bit in something like Stanley Parable or Icy, where they have that, like, the whole thing is dedicated to the meta narrative. There might be like another narrative going on, but it's also about the meta narrative of what you're doing as a player. And so, those are maybe like the closest I can come.
Okay. And Ben, round us out.
Because it's like there's so many from FromSoft and from Metal Gear Solid. But I think maybe I'll say the game Go Right from Aqua Teen Hunger Force is a deep cut.
What?
I think it's called Go Right. I'm pretty sure. You just go right the entire time. And so, it's a very slow moving thing. So you're like, oh, I'll just press down my right key and go walk away. But like 30 minutes through the level, there's this tiny little pit you have to jump over. And so you fall in that and you cannot jump out of it. And so you come back later and see that. And then I guess you retry if you want, but
it's got a little bit of like a desert bus thing. Is this like a Flash game?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Huh. Yeah, I was unaware of that.
So one I haven't played, but just keeps in my mind for being creative is have you ever heard of the Prisoner?
The television show and there was a text adventure game based on it, right?
Yep, text adventure game. And in the text adventure game, you have a secret that the various characters are trying to get you to divulge, and you lose if you divulge the secret. And the secret is represented in game by like a numerical code they give you.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things the game does is will randomly crash with an error code equal to that secret. And if you attempt to look up the error code in the debugger, that counts as divulging the secret and
There
you
you
lose
go.
the game.
That is so good. Yeah, that is Kojima stuff well before Kojima. That's like the Psycho Mantis fight. Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. And I don't know, I guess you could also sort of say like the Mac Venture games and how often they just pulled the rug out from under you, like no matter what you did.
Yeah. No, like Shadowgate specifically is a very funny game.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is really a gotcha, but like a storyline gotcha is what was I know you're a huge fan of it. It was a visual novel style game is like Last Day of the Century or something like that.
Leviathan Last Day of the Decade.
Yes.
Yes. Just the whole thing where like you have to, for your spell, you have to have like a severed head.
Yep.
And it could be like anything, like it could be a severed like cat's head or something. But the like little sheepish, like shy boy that's assisting you straight up murders someone and takes their head.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, like, as you're starting the game, you are walking home from school and you got bullied and you have a head in your bag
Jeez.
Yep.
to go do a magic rite. And that's how it starts.
And I assume it goes downhill from there.
It goes all kinds of ways.
Yeah. Good question. Good laughs. Thank you, Dennis, for posting it in absentia. Thank you, folks, for responding. If you want to participate in these in the future, follow us on Blue Sky at thelevelpodcast.bsky.social, and watch for the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games and how we feel about them. I'm going to lead with the big one from the big week of announcements, the not E3 that kind of went on.
Wait, the not E3?
The not E3, not the not E3, which is the, instead of like the gods of death in the Forgotten Realms, it's the sexy gods.
Right.
So like Summer Games Fest and all of the different showcases and whatnot, wasn't terribly impressed by a lot of what I saw. I think I watched the Sony one and a little bit of the actual like the Jeff Keighley game commercial extravaganza. Then you get to the end of the Jeff Keighley Summer Games Fest showcase, and it's about time for this to be announced, but I didn't expect it to hit the way that it did. Resident Evil 9 not only is announced, but we know roughly what it's going to be about. And we know a release date. It's coming out on February the 27th of 2026, or at least is slated to come out then right now. It was funny because I was watching this and I was like, okay, it's the last big thing. Jeff Keighley almost teared up when he announced like, hey, we have this big thing here. And the second that I saw like the way even the buildings were rendered, I was like, oh, that's the RE engine. Yeah, and when I saw the faces, like, yeah, that's how people in Resident Evil look. And then fucking a name out of nowhere, a character who nobody has any reason to know, Alyssa Ashcroft, who happens to be one of the characters from Resident Evil Outbreak.
Daughter.
Really?
Yeah, the journalist character from Resident Evil Outbreak. It is her daughter, who's kind of like the feature character in the trailer. She works for the FBI, and she's called in, like she's got to go and investigate this, biological, anomaly case that happens to have been found. The scene of the crime is at the hotel where her mom was murdered. And there's not an awful lot in the way of detail about gameplay or even setting or characters after that. It's a lot of snippets of voice. And then the very end of it appears to show us that some part of this game is going to take place in the ruins of Raccoon City. Like you see like the all the ash and stuff from where it was bombed and like the ruined RCPD, all of that. So information is scant right now. This was basically just like a 3-minute teaser. I am happy to know that this exists, and it is definitely strange to see that after 7 and 8, we're going back to, for lack of a better word, the myth arc on this.
Right.
Like, yeah. So like if you look at 7 and 8 as like monster of the week kind of things, like the fact that this is going back into Raccoon City stuff is unexpected.
Yeah, my big fear is I hope they don't just make it into like a generic survival horror game. I hope they keep the like action and techno thriller aspects of Resident Evil.
It's unclear. It's unclear if that is good, like what direction they're going to go. If they're going to go the RE5 and 6 route, or I don't know. You see some monsters and stuff. They look kind of like zombies. Like stuff looks T virus sized, so it's not going to be strictly the fungus kind of things. Yeah, it's unclear. Jala, you had more information on this. You sent me a meme that people are thinking that it's you're going to be playing as Leon in this.
Oh, no, that meme has nothing to do with that.
Oh, okay.
That was an unrelated meme about Peepaw Leon.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Leon, who would be 48.
Yeah. I mean, like, yes, that would make logical sense, but yeah, like, I don't know. I think that's somebody theorizing, maybe, but it's not founded on anything.
Like the fruit?
No, Peepaw as in grandfather.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like
yes.
Grandpa
Never heard
Leon.
that before.
Yeah, I never heard it until people in Texas. So, like from West Texas in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, Meemaw and Peepaw.
Yeah.
Okay.
But people are doing a bunch of theorizing. Like the trailer really makes it seem like you're going to be playing as Alyssa Ashcroft.
Right.
Not as Alyssa Ashcroft, sorry.
Right.
As her daughter, Grace. So like Alyssa Ashcroft like doesn't just pop up. Like she lived, like she survived Resident Evil Outbreak. So she is, it's not just the 2, not just the 3 survivors, the many people who walked away from that. She weirdly was popping up in like documents as like, she's a journalist. So there are like articles and stuff that have popped up in later in later games. So weird.
But she was murdered in a hotel in the ruins of Raccoon City. That's maybe where you're going.
Yes, yeah, and that's all we know.
Raccoon City be super radiated?
So they retconned it. It wasn't a nuclear weapon. The fact that it was a mushroom cloud when you saw it at the end of 2, apparently it was just a firebombing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I shouldn't know that. That is a really wild thing to know, but I do. So
you also have like those big Resident Evil archive books, yeah?
I have at least one of them, yeah.
I was gonna say you have at least one of them. I don't have any of them, so
yeah. So I do have an excuse for knowing anyway.
Yeah.
I think the number one thing I want to know from Resident Evil is just what is Ada doing when she is not being catty and whatever.
I think she just sleeps standing upright in a closet like Bender.
Right.
There you go.
If she can't be slinking or snarking, I think that's just her default state.
Right.
It seems she just goes into hibernation mode.
Let's see, Jala, you've got a story here about more movie adaptations of games.
All it is that Phasmophobia is in the works as a movie from Blumhouse Productions, which did Five Nights at Freddy's movie. The end.
Yeah. Blumhouse ending up in like they're publishing horror games now, and I guess now taking horror games from games to movies. They make fine horror movies. I think that they had an AI controversy recently, but who hasn't at this point?
I just don't see I don't know.
Yeah.
You could make a really good ghost hunting game, but I feel like you have to keep how stupid Phasmophobia players are. Like the entire movie needs to be a comedy of errors.
It needs to be everybody trying to get the ghost box to work.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. 100%. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think is farther from the truth? Like all the supernatural stuff in the houses, or the ghost hunters only making like $50 per mission and then
Right.
trying to keep the business afloat?
That feels really appropriate. That feels like an appropriate amount of money for those people to make.
Fair.
Let's see. Moxie, what is this?
Yeah, so a researcher in Japan has developed a VR game that seeks to reverse nearsightedness. So apparently, some nearsightedness, particularly that which comes from excessive use of like mobile devices and screens and such,
Mhm.
basically comes from the muscles in your eyes getting overworked and kind of going into a spasm.
Mhm.
And so there's various exercises that have been developed which effectively stretch the muscles in your eye. So, eye yoga.
Okay.
And this game seeks to replicate those. So the example they give is one of the games is you're shooting a series of targets, but the targets move closer and farther away in order to like stretch your eye as you focus on them.
Mhm.
And initial studies suggest that it does in fact improve eyesight, although notably it's only been tested on university students so far. And so, it's possible that maybe there's an age thing or something like that.
Yeah.
I will.
But yeah,
I will say that I do, as part of my face yoga / self face and neck massage stuff that I do fairly regularly. There are some eye exercises that I do as well, and those do seem to help.
Yeah. And it feels good to, I don't know, to focus far away after you've been, working for a long time. Like, yeah, that's something that eye doctors put into me early. Yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely use this, especially because like a lot of times, it's not that easy to like, go try to find some place you can find a far sight line and stuff like that.
Yeah. If you're in a building,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, this is a good use of VR. Has the depth perception. They can train you to. Yeah. No, that is really good research. Hopefully that can be turned into a thing. Because, like,
yep.
I don't know. We're still relatively early in in the experiment of all this screen time. And in terms of like human development. So, yeah. Neat. And finally here, Ben, what them bugs up to?
Yeah, this is I don't know if this was announced at the Summerfest or not, but at least in the past week, the devs from Untitled Goose Game announced what their next game is going to be and showed a preview of it. It's called Big Walk, and it's a multiplayer game with a kind of realistic-looking forest and very unrealistic characters walking around. And the idea is it's supposed to be played with a group of your friends. There's a high fidelity voice system in the game where it's like the farther you are away, the softer your voice is. There's also things like they pay attention to things like echoes and like modifications to the voices. Because like what happens is you're just exploring this map. There's random challenges throughout the island that you kind of need to work together to solve. And so the idea is if you start walking farther and farther away from people, you are unable to hear them, but there's ways to mitigate that. There's loudspeakers, there's flare guns, maybe shouting might work, I'm not sure. But there's things like that to try and be able to coordinate things from afar. They also have things in the game as part of the challenges. There's like soundproof rooms where you need to be able to communicate without using your voice with one another. It's similar to Untitled Goose Game. This is hitting a very like distinct vibe, and it seems like it'll be a lot of fun. They said it's going to come out sometime in 2026, but I am excited for it personally.
I love that as a concept. Like one of my favorite things about games where you use in-game chat like that is when they fuck with it, like Lethal Company talking through the through the walkie-talkies, which are not entirely reliable, or like Void Crew, the way things change, when you're inside and outside the ship and all of that. So like building a game around the way that space plays with how sound and voice would work is a really cool idea.
Yeah. It looks
Brings
fun.
us back to Phasmophobia.
Oh yeah. I guess it's been like maybe 5 years since Untitled Goose Game came out, something like that. 5
something
or
like
6.
that, yeah.
So,
being published by Panic. Panic's an interesting company. They did that Despelote game here most recently.
Oh
yeah. Cool. Well, that sounds like a show to me. How do you all feel about bundling it up?
Buttons.
The credit.
Thank you so much to everybody for listening. We appreciate you taking the time. We did this on a recent episode of something here. In lieu of all of the admin stuff, probably it's gonna come a point here when you want to start looking at bail funds to start donating to.
Right.
If I'm making some guesses about the way this weekend is going to go, based on how things are going on in LA right now.
Could be interesting.
A lot of people getting jammed up on stuff. So rather than doing any of the other stuff, spare a few bucks to spring people out of the joint for being wrapped up for peaceably protesting. That I think is the only thing that I want to say, other than be safe yourself if you're going out for a pride or any kind of event like that. Yeah. Jala, anything going on over at Jala's place?
Yes, Shining Force 3. The penultimate episode is out, and then the next one will come out the next week after this episode of The Level drops. So that will be the last of the episodes. So that is a total of 5 public with 1 bonus episode on the coffee for folks on this. So 6 total episodes. All of the public ones are like 3 hours a piece. So I have spoken at length.
What is this? What is the span of like time? Like has this been covered over the course of like a year or?
I've been playing Shining Force 3 for about a year.
Okay.
But the episodes started dropping like last, what was it? August or September, something like that.
Yeah.
And then another one dropped in November, December, something like that. And then the next one, came after that, and then had to have a little bit more time to catch up on the rest of scenario 3. And so that we could do that. There was also the bonus episode in I think November last year. So anyway, like they've been coming out for not quite a year.
Yeah.
Just every once in a while, but there's 5 total public and then the 1 bonus episode for patrons. So
well, congrats on, getting to the end of that huge project.
And then I get to go into Lunar Eternal Blue, but I'm going to give myself a break before I go into that, because that was a 2-parter for Lunar Silver Star.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a little bit of a break from video game assignment homework, or at least big ones, before I get to that. So
that seems wise.
Yeah.
Cool. Anybody have anything else? All right. I have been Kaye Ross. You can find me on Blue Sky at k.zone.
I'm Moxie. You can find me around.
Maybe. I'm Chala-chan in all the places I may be found.
And I've been Ben Merkel.
And stick around for some titles.
Easter egg.
I have 3.
Okay. What do you have?
The Dug Bomb,
All right.
Bulletro,
Sorry, God. I'm laughing at my own fucking joke. It's so stupid.
Mm-mm.
and Slinking, Snarking, Sleeping.
Yes. Ada's 3 speeds.
Yes.
Yeah. Ben, you have anything?
I got Gotcha, and Bulletro.
Gotcha. Like gotcha as in the game genre, and then gotcha as in like gotcha, like it got like okay. Okay. Moxie?
I've got nothing.
Okay.
Woot.
And I do not have anything. By votes, it's Bulletro. Does anybody have a strong feeling?
I like
I
Bulletro.
think we should go with that.
Sure.
All right. It is decided.